Good morning. Happy Baby Friday. It is time for just a word from the Word. Our passage this morning comes from the book of Psalms, Psalm 43, verse 3. And it says in the King James, "Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me into thy holy hill and to thy tabernacles." I was reading this last night, and has it ever happened to you? And this has happened to me the last couple nights, and uh, not a completely uncommon occurrence. But as I was reading, I just couldn't get over verse 3 for a little bit. And I kept reading, "Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me into thy holy hill." And I thought, what is it that brings us into the presence of the Lord? What is it that draws us into his presence? What is it that grabs my heart and says, let's just have some time of prayer? What is it? And we can call it tons of things. People will call it the wooing of the Spirit. People will call it conviction of the Holy Ghost. Um, Others will say it's the preached word that brings us into the presence of the Lord. Some will say it's music that draws us into the presence of the Lord. But when it comes right down to it, I think the psalmist hit the nail right on the head, y'all. When the psalmist prayed, "Send your light and your truth, and let those two things be what brings me into your presence." Light. Light illuminates. When you walk into a dark room, if you want to see what's going on, you turn on the light. Light illuminates. Light um, opens up your vision so that you can see clearly. Light. We need God's light. We need his light to illuminate the way so that we can see with his vision, so that we don't have to stumble, so that we can come into his presence. But we don't need just light, we need his truth. We humans are so easy to point out the faults of others, but not point out our own. Um, Light and truth will help with that. Uh, every single one of us are human. Every single one of us make mistakes. Every single one of us have issues. Everyone. We need God's light to shine on that and to show us truth. That truth ought not to be scary. Sometimes it feels that way. But that truth and that light should show us God's grace and God's mercy. And that should be what draws us into the very presence of the Lord. So what am I saying this morning? Much shorter than yesterday. I went really long yesterday. But this morning's just a word from the Word. When you look honestly at what it is that brings you into the presence of the Lord, it's going to be his light illuminating your way and his truth leading you. Let his light and his truth be what leads you into his presence. We're never going to get into the presence of the Lord based on a lie, based on manipulation, based on emotion. And I'm not saying the presence of the Lord doesn't bring emotion, it does. But if we have to conjure up emotion in other people, we're not bringing them into the presence of the Lord. Show God's light to others. Show His truth to others. Because that's what brings you into His presence. And that's what's going to bring others into His presence. Focus on His light and His truth. That's all I'm trying to say this morning. So that you can get into His beautiful presence. It's worth it. This has been just a word from the Word. Again, much shorter than yesterday. But God bless you. Have a beautiful day. I pray you feel the presence of the Lord, because I certainly have this morning. Have a beautiful day. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.